Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. How we doing today?
Good. So yesterday, I raved about my man CeeDee Lamb. I say he's going to have a breakthrough season into superstardom. And about an hour after the show, I read that he's on the COVID list.
Oh.
He went to Jinx City because I took him there, right?
Well, he did have a breakout. I don't think that's the kind of breakout that you would break out.
Sounds like my whole team's having a breakout.
Exactly.
That's not a funny joke, Shannon. Not about COVID.
But that's not the kind of breakout you were thinking about, those skills.
That's not the kind we want. And unfortunately, that's kind of where we have to begin today with more COVID protocol issues. And this one concerning Cam Newton. He will have to stay away from Patriots practice through Wednesday after confusion over testing protocols. Mac Jones will take the first team reps until Cam returns to practice on Thursday. The Patriots released a statement that explained the mix-up, saying, quote, due to a misunderstanding about tests conducted away from NFL facilities and as required by the NFLPA protocols, Cam will be subject to the 5-day entry cadence process before returning to the facility. Shannon, how much will this hurt Cam's ability to win the starting job right now?
Skip, I don't think it'll impact it at all. I think Cam has looked really good in the preseason. I don't really know how he's looked in practice, but I think he's looked well enough in practice that Coach Belichick lets him trot out there every week when they open up the game with the starters. And so I think Cam will maintain his lead. And I think the difference is, Skip, this year is because they have 3 preseason games, not 4. You get an entire extra week because, Skip, you remember last year, a couple of years back, they would have 4 preseason games. The game would end on Thursday, and then the following week you would play. Now the games end this week, and it's not this week. So you basically have 2 weeks. Cam will actually have 2 weeks to get back into a rhythm, a nice throwing rhythm, and maintain the level of. I believe he's in the lead. I believe he's in the lead as far as Mac Jones. Can Mac Jones catch him? I don't think so. But I tell you what, Skip, when you are in a contested battle for a job, the last thing you want to do is to let them get eyes specifically on one guy. Skip, I remember as a rookie, hey, I know I'm in a battle. I get injured, I ain't telling nobody. I'm not telling the trainers. I'm just going out there, just sucking it up, trying to do everything I possibly can because I don't want anybody else to get any more reps than what I'm going to get.
Got it.
Skip, I get this about this misunderstanding, but let me tell you what's going on. The NFL has made it abundantly clear. If you're not vaccinated, you're going to be subjected to some very harsh protocols about getting tested daily. If you break these protocols, how much they're willing to fine you. So I don't believe it's a misunderstanding. The NFL, like unvaccinated players, we want you to get vaccinated because we are not letting you blow up our season. We're not going to be able to move games like we were last year, Skip. We're not going to be able to do it. So we want you to get vaccinated. And I was reading yesterday, Skip, someone from the, I don't know if it was the CDC or the Mayo Clinic, went and talked to the Vikings. And they said, to this point, no one has ever died from the vaccine. But there have been a lot of people that's died because they've been unvaccinated. Yep. There have been more people that over the last, year and a half that's died from aspirin than died from taking the vaccine. So they're trying, and it's been, Pfizer's gained full FDA approval. So they're trying to do everything they possibly can to put these players' mind at ease. They said, well, I need some more information. I need more information. Well, you need more information about all the other things that you've been ingesting, like naproxen, like Celebrex, like Percocet, Skip, like Vicodin, like Toradol. You take all those things to go out there and play, and you don't bat an eye. So for me, Skip, I don't believe it's going to have an impact on whether Cam Newton. I believe Cam Newton starts the season. Starting the season, finishing the season is something entirely different. But I don't believe it'll have the impact that it probably would have in years past.
Okay. My conclusion is this cannot help Cam Newton at this point because it does feel like it's a competition. I will agree with you. I agree that Cam is slightly ahead in the competition.
Okay.
But it feels like Mac Jones is picking up steam.
Right.
And I've told you from the start, I believe that in Bill Belichick's heart of hearts, if he could sooner than later go forward with Mac Jones, he would be more comfortable with that than with Cam Newton because Bill Belichick right now is all about proving Tom Brady wrong, who proved obviously last year Belichick about as wrong as you can look.
Right.
And obviously, Tom Brady's going to visit Foxborough in the week 4 of the season. It's a Sunday night game.
Right.
And I believe in Bill's heart of hearts, if he could beat Tom with his guy that he stole in the draft, the way he stole Brady, it was the 15th overall pick. If he could beat him with Mac Jones, that would be more pleasing to Bill, more satisfying to Bill, more deeply gratifying to Bill than to beat him with a Cam Newton who won his MVP, obviously, for Carolina. So again, Bill did say, I can do something with that guy, Cam Newton. And he was for a while last year until, guess what? Cam got COVID. And it seemed to hit him pretty hard because he was never the same after he got COVID.
He was not.
We saw some spectacular performances, especially at Seattle. They lost, but Cam had a chance to bounce it outside at the end, or he could have capped off with an exclamation point. An all-time great performance, one of the greatest of his career.
Yep.
Then against Buffalo, they also lost, but Cam played beautifully in this game. He looked like an MVP in that game.
He did.
Okay, and then COVID hits, and from that point on, Cam just slides into oblivion and winds up of the 33 qualified quarterbacks. He had the 30th QBR at the end of the year, 30th out of 33. So it was a pretty all-around miserable season for Cam.
It was a bad season.
Yeah, after a sensational start preempted by, guess what, COVID. Okay, so here we go again, and we have an alleged miscommunication. And this is where I'm a little mystified by this, but the NFL Network just reported, I'm going to read their tweet, per sources, there is a level of frustration internally with Cam Newton. One important member of the organization believes this has, quote, unquote, opened a window of opportunity for rookie Mac Jones. I think we could all see
we agree with that, yes.
And then goes on to say the team practices today, and then the Giants come for a joint practice on Wednesday and Thursday, and Cam could be back on Thursday. Iffy, but could be.
But I don't see, because they play Friday, right? Or they play Saturday?
Not sure.
Because I don't, Skip, I don't think he would.
They must play Saturday if they're going to have a joint practice on Thursday.
Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, and have Cam come back and play that game, Skip. I don't see that happening. But what do we know, Skip, about Tom Brady?
Tom Brady Sunday.
Okay. Skip, the starting quarterback, he doesn't want the backup to get any looks. Well, I don't want you looking at him. Why you think Brady took all the reps? Why you think Peyton Manning and Drew Brees takes all the reps? I don't want you looking at my backup.
Okay, so now back to vaccinated or unvaccinated. Obviously, it's freedom of choice. Everybody has their own personal reasons to do it or not do it. And yet, the Boston Herald writes this morning, only an unvaccinated player is subject to this kind of lockdown.
Thank you.
And while it's Newton's choice to be vaccinated or not, refusing the vaccine sets up all kinds of risks and scenarios, both for himself and the team, and none of them are good. Agreed.
Yes.
So he probably opened a small window. Is it big enough window for Mac Jones to seize the job over the next couple of practices, one against the Giants, especially the one on Wednesday?
Well, you let him get an opportunity that he probably wouldn't have had Cam been there.
That is correct. And the Boston Herald concludes, for a guy like Cam Newton, who's fighting for his career, why give Jones the keys to the offense right now? Well, that's your point about injury. You just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
So here's what lost me to begin with. If, in fact, the Patriots team, as a team, as their executives, somebody upstairs, maybe to Belichick,
Coach Belichick,
bless this, somebody had to sign off on that Cam could leave the area. I don't know. He's obviously lives in Atlanta. Do you need to go see a doctor in Atlanta? It's possible.
Right.
On an off day. Well, once you leave your area, you can't go get tested elsewhere. It's against the protocol because we're going to assume he's not vaccinated.
Correct.
So if you leave, it's an automatic quarantine it's 5 days.
Right.
It's 4 days plus one more. And you have to obviously then get tested at the end of the quarantine to make sure you're okay.
Right.
Well, if you're vaccinated, you're free to go.
Correct.
So help me out. Did the Patriots sign off on it? Because if they did, then why is there a level of frustration internally with Cam Newton? Because shouldn't they be complicit in this? It would seem to be that. But maybe Maybe they didn't sign off on it.
Right.
Maybe their statement said there was a misunderstanding. Maybe they're viewing it as a misunderstanding just on Cam's part.
Maybe they were thinking that, okay, I'm going to see a doctor, and they were thinking the doctor was in the area. They didn't know he was going to leave the entire state.
Maybe. It has to be some miscommunication.
Something's not adding up, Skip.
No, it's not adding up. But the point is that Mac Jones does have an opening now. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to bring this back up because I told you this is the kind of thing that does not sit well with Bill Belichick.
No.
Remember, I'm going to go back to the post that he had, whatever it was, a week or so ago. Mm-hmm. Cam posted
about loyalty.
Loyalty, comma, I deserve it.
Right.
Well, was it coincidence or not that he happened to post it the day after Mac Jones had his first appearance as a Patriot in a preseason game? He'd gotten a standing ovation.
Right.
Not shocking. And he had performed to rave reviews.
Yes.
So was he saying to Patriot Nation, I deserve a little more loyalty than that? Then Cam came back and said, no. It had nothing to do with on the field. It was all personal. It was about his kids, whatever. He went into a long explanation. Okay, and you said, okay, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
I'm not sure Belichick is going to give him that benefit because the coincidence of it was just a little too hard to believe that he would post that right after that happened, right?
Right.
Okay, so that was another knock on Cam and Belichick's mind in my point of view. So he's teetering because here's the next question. What if Bill Belichick decides, and again, you said that Mac Jones was the readiest to play of all the rookie quarterbacks.
Yep.
So what if Belichick just plunges on this and he goes with Mac Jones in game number 1? Would he keep Cam as the backup quarterback? Because I can't even imagine Cam Newton as a backup. He's just better than that. Like, he's proven too much, and it's beneath him to be a clipboard holder on the side.
Well, Cam's going to have to play some of his best football in order to keep that job for the entire season, or he's going to be a backup, or he's going to be an unemployed quarterback.
So that leads to this question. Let's just go all the way to the bitter end. What if he goes with Mac Jones in game 1 and he just cuts Cam Newton and says, I'll just take Brian Hoyer as my backup because he's a long-time proven backup. He's been with the Patriots a couple of times. He knows it. So Belichick's saying it'll be less pressure on Mac.
Right.
I'll take some pressure off the kid because if Cam's looking over your shoulder, that's a big presence.
If it's not like it's a big financial burden to keep Cam.
No.
Skip, they're basically paying him minimum money.
He
got a lot of money tied up in incentives, going to the Super Bowl, going to Pro Bowl and All Pro and throwing for this many yards and that, yada, yada, yada. But as far as just base money, there's not a whole lot tied up. But one thing that we know about Coach Belichick, he values team over individual. And the most important thing to him is team. Okay, what is Cam doing that could possibly harm the team? Being unvaccinated and putting the team at risk because now all of a sudden he gets COVID again and now he's out. So in other words, you put yourself in front of the team. We know how Coach Belichick feels about players that he deems in his eyes as being selfish, and team, Patriots, does not come first.
Okay, so it's incomprehensible to me that Cam would choose not to get vaccinated. He may have a personal reason I don't know and that I would appreciate if I heard it. I'd say, okay, I honor that. But to me, from the outside looking in, if I were in those shoes or cleats right now, man, I'd be saying, I need to be vaccinated because I've opened a little window here of opportunity. And plus, I'm a little bit vulnerable here.
I'm not giving them a reason to put Mac Jones in there.
That's correct. And I'm not giving Belichick a reason to cut me because I'm at more risk now to get COVID a second time and have more problems with it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in the end, is it possible that he's risking getting cut? And then that leads to the final question. Would anybody else pick up Cam Newton right now?
I mean,
is he teetering on being out of football?
I'm trying to rack my mind who is like really quarterback deficient, because a lot of these teams, Skip, they went in the draft and they got rookie quarterbacks or they seem to be set at that position. Could he possibly?
Your Broncos are still struggling.
Right.
They don't seem to, although Drew Lock had a big game the other night. But
I think Teddy's going to win the job.
He probably will. But are they set, Would they be better off with Teddy and Drew Lock over Cam Newton? I don't know. If there were a big injury to a quarterback.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's always a possibility.
It's always a possibility. Then maybe Cam would get a shot.
But then, Skip, you got to come in and you got to learn a whole new offense.
Right. Okay.
There's a reason why a lot of times quarterbacks don't change teams in the middle of the season like all the other positions, because you're asking an awful lot of a guy. And we think there's some of our smartest players to come in and learn an entirely different system and be up to speed and be able to take off with it.
Yep. So I remind you, about a year ago, as we headed into week 1, what happened to Tyrod Taylor with the Chargers?
Yes.
Remember, he had, unfortunately, an injection in his rib cage.
It was the second week.
Was it week 2 or
week 2?
It's week 2. Okay, so it's week 2.
Because he started this, yeah.
And he got the injection, and unfortunately it went a little too far, and it punctured his lung.
Yes.
And it wasn't his fault.
Right.
It wasn't because he wasn't vaccinated.
Right.
You know, it just happened. It was a bad accident, and it was the team doctor's fault. Mm-hmm. And guess what happened? He got Wally pipped, as they say about
Justin Herbert got in the game, and Tyrod Taylor never got back in the game.
So at least Tyrod got a second shot now in Carolina, or another shot in Carolina.
He in Tennessee, the Houston Texans.
I mean, the Texans, sorry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Texans. So the point is that you have to be careful about these opportunities for these young quarterbacks, because if they seize the day, and I respect Mac Jones. I think he will give you all he's got.
Yes.
I think his ceiling is lower than a Trey Lance to me, or a Zach Wilson, or
Trevor Lawrence
that we saw last night we're about to talk about. But the point is that you better be careful, because Mac Jones won a national championship last year. Mac Jones has played at the highest levels of college football and played very well.
Right.
And I think he's very tough mentally and tough physically. Right. He took a lot of punishment last year.
Well, considering that he played for Coach Saban, you know he's got to be tough mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, because you know how Coach Saban is. Coach Saban he learned everything under Coach Belichick. He was his defensive coordinator in Cleveland.
Okay. So in the end, I believe Cam's in big jeopardy right now more than you do. Mm-hmm. I think this is really thin ice for him.
Well, he brought it on himself, Skip. He brought this on himself. The NFL has made it abundantly clear. If you read the protocol, Skip, when they came out with it, everybody, man, why I got to do all this? And unvaccinated players can go here, and I can't leave and go see my family. The NFL says, yeah, you're absolutely right. Go get vaccinated, and then you can have guests at the hotel, or then you can leave the hotel. Because if you do leave that hotel and you're unvaccinated, the fine that we're going to levy on you is going to be steep. Mm-hmm. And you're going to think twice about leaving the hotel again. So I don't know players. I don't know. Look, this was collectively bargained. This is what the NFL, this is what the owners, this is what they laid down, because they're not going to have you blow this season up because of you being reckless. That's not going to happen.
And finally, the Boston Herald pointed out that 3 former Patriots of some stature have spoken up and out for Mac Jones. Mm-hmm. And that would be Rodney Harrison, Damian Woody, and Rob Ninkovich have all spoken out that they believe Mac Jones should start game 1. Mm-hmm. So there's a groundswell for the kid. Mm-hmm. And this is what Cam is up against, and this is what he has risked.
Right. But like you said, Skip, but he put himself in harm's way by doing this, by leaving them to let Coach Belichick get extra looks, because he's not there for the next, what? You say he can come back Thursday?
Yeah,
so
maybe.
he's not there. So all these reps where he would have been splitting and Cam could have been oohing and wowing them also. Now this is all Mac. Now, it said yesterday he didn't get off to the greatest start, but he finished really well.
Well, I will remind you, in the preseason so far, Cam has played 29 snaps. Mac Jones has played 77 snaps. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to A, see what they got, and B, get him as ready as fast as they can.
But here's another question, Skip. They play on Sunday. Who's going to play will give you a big indication of who's going to start. Mm. If Cam doesn't play, I think Cam's the starter the following week. The following 2 weeks.
Right, 2 weeks.
No mercy. Well, Jameis Winston was impressive last night against the Jaguars, going 9 of 10 for 123 yards and 2 long touchdown passes. Jameis did that all in the first quarter, while also taking no sacks and not turning the ball over. While Sean Payton still hasn't officially named a starter, it appears Jameis is beginning to run away with the job and now would have some big shoes to fill after Drew Brees' retirement. So, Shannon, how close can he come to being Drew Brees?
He's not going to be Drew Brees. Drew Brees is his historical quarterback, Skip. 80,000 passing yards, 571 touchdowns, almost 68% completion percentage. There are different quarterbacks. He possessed something that the Saints hadn't had in their offense in a very long time, and that's a vertical threat.
Yep.
He can throw the ball over your head. Skip.
So would you say Jameis has a better arm than Drew Brees ever thought about having?
Yes,
okay,
yes. But Skip, people don't understand. Jameis was the #1 overall pick for a reason.
Yep.
He was Rookie of the Year. The guy threw for 5,200 yards. His problem is turnovers. Can they cut down the turnovers? The question was never about whether he could throw the football. We know he can throw the football.
Yep.
Sean Payton's going to have to reel in some of that. Look, bruh, every play doesn't have to be a home run. You don't have to squeeze every ball into a tight window. Sometimes you got to just, take that check down. And that's what Drew was so good at. Drew minimized the risk. And so I think the thing is what Sean is going to have to understand is that he had 15 years with Drew. Skip, they know each other backwards and forwards. That was another coach on the field.
Yep.
They tailored the offense to what Drew did really well. A lot of the short, intermediate throws, guys making plays for him. Now, once they get Michael Thomas back, because Callaway made some big-time catches last night, Skip, because that could easily pass interference, get the ball to the 1 yard line, they run it in. He doesn't get the completion. But that kid made 2 outstanding catches. Get Michael Thomas back in the fold, Skip, they might be on to something. But he's not gonna be Drew Brees. But what he will give you is the ability to throw the ball over their heads, which Drew lacked last year. And if you look at Tampa, like they squatted on everything. They played cover 2. And they say, you're not basically 22-man because, Drew, you're not going to run the football. And we're going to force you to put the ball in tight windows because we don't believe your arm. We can tell. Early on, we know this is not the same Drew Brees that we faced, 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Remember, he had like 12 cracked ribs at one point last year?
What was that, Skip, when they beat him, that Sunday night game when Drew, they just went up and down the field. Tampa could tell early on, you're not that guy, so we're not going anywhere. But I like this. I believe Jameis Winston won the job last night. I think they can find a role. Taysom Hill will serve his role like he did with Drew Brees. I never thought, Skip, that he was going to be an every down quarterback. But I like what I saw with Jameis. He's not going to be Drew Brees. The offense is going to look totally different. But I believe he can be more than a serviceable quarterback. He's the #1 overall draft pick for a reason.
He was. Okay, point number 1. I concur that to my eyes last night, Jameis just ran away with the job with just basically those 2 throws.
Right.
They were spectacular bombs away kind of throws that Bruce Arians would love. Because that's no risk it, no biscuit, right? And that's risk it, biscuit on both of them. We know he can do that. I knew he could do that going in. And the only reason I hesitate to just proclaim him the starter and hand him the job that he earned last night or won last night is that for some reason, Sean Payton has it in his heart and in the back of his mind that he snatched Taysom Hill off the waiver wire after he got cut by Green Bay. And he said, watch this. And Sean Payton is the ultimate watch this guy in the NFL. Belichick's close.
Most coaches are like that.
Most are, but Sean Payton's like, watch what I do. I've got some genius here, and I'm going to flash it for you. I'm going to take that kid off that scrap heap, and I'm going to show you he can, and he said this before, he can be a playoff quarterback, he says of Taysom Hill. What happened last year? Jameis was there, and Drew got hurt, and there were 4 games that needed another starter, and who was it?
He put Taysom Hill in there.
Taysom Hill in for 4 games.
And how did he look? Well, he looked so good. He looked so good they rushed Drew Brees back when he wasn't healthy, and then how did Drew look?
That is correct. But Taysom did win 3 of those 4 games, albeit at Philadelphia against a really bad Eagles team with Jalen Hurts starting. I believe that was his first game.
No, they lost to New Orleans. They lost to Philly.
No, Philly beat them.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay, so they lost that game, but that was actually his best game. He was like 28 of 38. Whatever, I got it here somewhere. But the point was, he kept going, and then he got to beat Atlanta twice, and he got to beat your Broncos in Denver.
And they looked terrible beating the Broncos.
He did, because they mostly just ran the ball.
Correct.
Okay, so the point was, he did start Taysom over Jameis last year. To me, Jameis, this is like a godsend for Sean Payton because he's 6 feet 4 inches tall. He can move around pretty well. Sometimes he's a little awkward looking with his passes and runs, but he is athletic. He was a good baseball player, And he has a huge arm. It's big enough to be on the big arm list.
Skip, you know who he reminds you of? He reminds you of Tom Brady's offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich. The way he moves.
Yep.
Now I believe his arm is a little better than Byron, but the way the way he moves, Skip, he's 6'4", but he's not fluid. He's not
fluid, but he can move.
Yeah.
And all I know is that under Arians in that one pre-Brady year, he threw 33 touchdown passes only because Lamar went completely MVP crazy and threw 36. Jameis was second with 33.
But he threw for 5,200 yards.
Yeah, 5,200 yards. But he threw 30 picks. 30 picks, and he lost 5 fumbles. That's 35 turnovers. That's why your team went 7-9.
Right.
The yards say you're at least 9-7, but it was 7-9 because you kept giving the football away.
Because think about that, Skip. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, Skip, instead of 37 turnovers, he has 18.
Yep.
They're a playoff team. Because they didn't add anybody other than Tom Brady. Everybody that's on that team came back from the previous year. Ndamukong Suh, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. They added Gronk. But that was a playoff team if he doesn't turn the ball over.
Yep.
And all Tom Brady did was come in there and was like, you know what? He threw more touchdowns, but he didn't even come close to the turnovers. And that was the difference. That's the difference in winning and losing in this league, Skip. There's a very tiny margin.
Tiny.
Because everybody's talented. Everybody got good, outstanding coaches. You turn the ball over in the NFL, you get beat.
Okay. I'm surprised that Sean Payton hasn't embraced the opportunity to turn Jameis Winston into a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Right.
He has Pro Bowl ability.
He's gone to the Pro Bowl.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, but to make him a perennial Pro Bowl.
Right.
Where you could be a perennial playoff team, he's not going to be able to put up the... Listen, Drew Brees he's just special.
Right.
You can't compete with that. But is he strong enough mentally to at least step into the void and survive and thrive? Yes, he is.
I believe he is too.
Especially if Sean Payton buys completely in, because I'm not sure there's a better play caller than Sean Payton. I'm not sure there's a better quarterback maker than Sean Payton. So wouldn't it be a match made in heaven where you have a guy who just needs to get cleaned up?
Right.
You know, like if you can just take the garbage out of his system, you know, if you can take away all the bad ideas, if you can just start to clean those up and cut them in half, then you've got big talent, right? I'm looking at the numbers he put up in the years in Tampa, and he threw 121 touchdown passes to 88 interceptions. Well, that's still pretty great.
Yeah.
It's hard to find that. Yeah. It's hard to find that kind of an arm, that ability to throw that many touchdown passes. So the point is, I'm surprised Sean just hasn't embraced, like, hey, I've got a guy here. I've got a guy who's big talent.
But your opening salvo is that I got a guy nobody else wanted. And look because see, what did I say? I say Jameis Winston was the #1 overall pick. He was rookie of the year, threw for 5,200 yards. Yeah. So he already got that. I got a guy that got cut several times. Everybody said, you can't play that position. Yep. Look what I did with him.
Yep. Okay, you can still do some of that with him, as you pointed out, because Jameis has no cachet right now. No. Jameis is going to be happy to have the starting job. Like he said after the game last night, it's been so long since I started a football game. Really? It's been that long?
Yeah,
it has. Okay, so he can't demand or command anything.
No.
So if you bring back in your Taysom Hill packages that I couldn't believe Drew Brees would sit still for, but he did.
Yes.
Where occasionally you split out, Jameis is a wideout, and Taysom pops into the huddle, and all of a sudden he's the quarterback.
Correct.
Or maybe he's the tight end, or maybe he's the running back, or who knows. You can do so many things with him because he runs 4-4.
Right.
Like he can really run.
Yes.
And he can run over people.
Yes.
And he can catch the football.
Right.
That was Tebow's problem, was Tebow's never caught a pass in his life.
Right.
But this kid can catch passes.
Absolutely.
So you want to talk about Swiss Army knife that can just cut you to pieces.
Right.
Well, why wouldn't you just reinstall him and then put him back in that package?
Right.
Because we saw 4 games, and I think your eye test, even after that Philly loss, he played pretty well in that loss. He throws it okay, but he doesn't throw it as well as Jameis does.
He does not.
And he doesn't throw it well enough to be a winning starting quarterback to my eyes. I don't see it.
Right.
So the point is, Jameis flashed. That took some guts last night because that was a national TV game. And you got to go, man. You got to go. And that Marquez Callaway kid, he has come from nowhere.
Yes.
Here we go again.
Right.
Michael Thomas kind of came from nowhere, but he was a second-round pick. He just couldn't run. He didn't run fast.
Right.
Well, neither did this kid.
Right.
This kid ran 4.55 coming out of Tennessee. And guess what? He was completely undrafted.
Correct.
Well, you want to talk about a godsend?
Yeah.
And they say he's just been lighting up every camp practice. So if Michael Thomas can kind of remake his peace with them and get back in the fold, which they say he's on track to do, well, all of a sudden, you're going to...
They have the makings.
They have the makings because their defense is still going to be pretty to very good.
Right, and they're going to have to lean on that defense, Skip. Because right now, I don't see anything in the running game. Latavius Murray, I don't see anything in the running game. So Jameis is going to have to play really well. He's going to need to throw the ball extremely well while minimizing the turnovers, because that's what gets you beat in this league, is turning the football over. But I believe Sean Payton, it is in Sean Payton's mind, I can take this guy that nobody else wanted, that everybody only thinks he can do is, play special teams and every once in a while come in and give me a spell me at quarterback. But I can take this guy and turn him into a playoff caliber quarterback. Okay. I don't believe you can do it. I don't believe he can be an every down guy. I could be wrong, but all things being equal, 10 times out of 10, Jameis is a better quarterback than Taysom Hill.
Okay, I'll buy that. 10 times out of 10, do the Saints make the playoffs this year?
Man, the NFC is loaded.
Yep.
I mean, you got Green Bay still in the mix. You got Tampa Bay still in the mix. You got 3 teams in the West. At least 2 of them can possibly come out there. Now, you do got third. You got your least division. One team is going to come out of that. So... could they make it? They could.
It's going
to be tough, though.
I have so much respect for Sean Payton in that defense and that defensive coordinator that you knew well from back in Denver days.
Dennis Allen.
Yes. That I think they're a playoff team still, because I vouched for Jameis when he was the #1 overall pick. I know he had all kinds of issues at Florida State. But he rose above them, and he's got big-time talent. And I think if Sean Payton will just embrace him and put his arm around him and say, let's figure this out together, that they will be a playoff team this year.
Well, they could possibly get 3 teams out of the West, Skip.
Yep.
So they could possibly make the playoffs. It's probably going to take, 9-8, 10-7 at the least to possibly get in, but I can see them doing that.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to be like, when they had Drew, Skip, every year it was 12-4, 13-3. They will always have one of the, I don't know if they can get to those kind of numbers this year, but I think they can. I think there's an outside chance they make the playoffs.
They had a home playoff game last year and they got Brady'd.
Yeah, well, they won the division. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right, guys. We got to talk about a different QB, different team right now. Maybe some struggles last night. Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars' first-string offense struggled moving the ball last night against the Saints. And after 4 straight punts and only 1 first down, Lawrence was able to get the Jags in position for a field goal for the starters' only points of the night. Urban Meyer said the offense was, quote, struggling to get into some rhythm. So, Shannon, are you seeing a star or just a starter?
I think you can be a star, but Skip, you're going to have to... Skip, this is not Clemson, where unless you play Alabama or you play Ohio State, you have comparable talent.
Yep.
You go on the field with Jacksonville, y'all got the least amount of talent. Urban's going to have to understand that, Skip. This is not Ohio State. This is not the University of Florida. You're not the most talented team that's taking the field. As a matter of fact, you're going to be one of the least talented teams taking the field. You and the Houston Texans, and y'all happen to be in the same division.
Yep.
But, Skip, he made
They actually play each other on opening day. Go ahead.
Woo! Good luck with that one.
Yep.
Skip, he made some throws last night that lets you know that this kid is a special talent. Now, you're going to have to surround him with talent. But, Skip, you look at Troy. Troy struggled his rookie season.
Troy Aikman.
But
I was there.
Yeah, Skip, so it took you to get an Emmitt Smith.
They won 1 game out of 1 and 15, and Steve Walsh won that game.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it takes you to get some talent. Look at Peyton.
Yep.
And Peyton had Marvin Harrison and Marshall Faulk.
Led the league in interception.
Yes.
Yep.
So this notion, I don't know when it happened, Skip, that now we expect rookies to come in and automatically just go to the playoffs. It's hard making the playoffs, let alone doing it with a rookie. Now, every once in a while, you'll get a situation like a Russell Wilson. Well, Skip, those are few and far between that a guy like Russell comes in as a third-round pick, beats the guy out that you got in free agency and paid him $10 million a year, and beats him out and gets you to the playoff in his rookie season. That doesn't happen very often. But I saw a kid that can make throws, that can make plays, but his offensive line isn't very good, and I'm not so sure he has a whole lot of talent around him. And so he's going to struggle. So the days of him being at Clemson, and he's the best player on the field, and they just beating Wake Forest and beating Coastal Carolina, Skip, and Georgia Tech, that's over. Urban, you at the University of Florida, when you got Tebow and all those NFL stars that's going to be coming, it's over.
Well, Urban has said now every game's Alabama.
Exactly. Because guess what? Alabama, as great as Alabama was, Skip, they might have had 10 players on that team that's in the pros. Everybody that they play is a pro. And it's not easy. Trust me. Having played this game, man, you cherish the wins. That's why they celebrate them wins, Skip. It's like, because it's hard to win in the NFL. It's very hard. And Urban and Trevor Lawrence, they're about to find that out firsthand.
So, I watch Trevor Lawrence, and I watch him some more, and I keep trying to go over the moon, buy in on him, and I can't yet. And I'll put a yet on it because I'm waiting to see if he wows me, if I have that moment of wow, where I say, okay, now I got it. To your point, they're not a very good football team. Last night, they played without their starting center and their starting left guard, so we got to give them that. The other three were starters. He wasn't well protected because he got the you-know-what kicked out of him for a preseason game.
Did you see Dennis Allen? Dennis Allen dialed it up.
Yep. They hit him way more than he needed to be hit in a preseason game. And then he took it upon himself because I think he just got frustrated after a while because he couldn't get the ball in the end zone. And to his credit, on a third down, he took off and just said, I think we have this play, where he just took off in the middle of the second quarter and said, okay, I'll do it by myself. And it was not smart. He can move a little bit for 6'5", and that's a bad idea. That had bad idea. That was like the RG3 play. Remember, where at Cleveland he got hurt, the helicopter play.
That was against the Ravens.
The Ravens. It was Haloti Ngata. That's the kind of play you do not want to subject yourself to in this league at that speed. Even in a preseason game, it's just too dangerous.
He needs to worry about Skip 77 falling on that shoulder. You see how he got it?
Everything was bad about that play. When it was happening, I was just cringing because I know how fragile quarterbacks can be. They just don't carry the ball that much, and they don't take that kind of punishment. And he put himself in all kinds of dangerous spots there. Head, shoulder, knees.
In college, though, Skip, he gets that and gets out of bounds. All those guys can run in the NFL.
Okay, that's true. So at Clemson, Trevor Lawrence threw 90 touchdowns to 17 picks. Sensational. He was a great college football player on a great college football team, or at least a very good one. I don't know if we could go great, but they were very good. A loaded team. And
a lot of their stars was on the defensive side of the football, Skip.
And now I look at this team and this quarterback and I say, can he lift them into respectability? I'm not sure he can, because now we come down to intangibles. What was the big controversy a few months back ahead of the draft? There's a big Sports Illustrated article
about him loving the game.
Trevor Lawrence said, I don't need football to feel worthy. Like, football's not the be-all and the end-all in my life. And he said, I don't have this huge chip on my shoulder where I think everybody's out to get me and I'm trying to prove everybody wrong. He said, I can't manufacture that, because he came from some money and he was always the golden child, right?
By 14 to 15.
Everybody knew, he's going to be the first pick in the draft. So it came pretty to very easily for him. And I'm not saying he didn't have to work at it, but Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick, as we all know. Tom Brady is obsessed with winning football games at age 44. If I could just pour a few ounces of Tom Brady into this kid, you'd have a world beater. But I'm not sure his motor runs that hot. He plays with a nonchalance that leaves me a little nonplussed, where I want to see a little more body language. And the only flash of it was when he just finally got frustrated and said, okay, I'm going to do this by myself. If you guys can't do it, I'll just do it by myself. And it wasn't the smartest play. he looks poised enough. He looks like he belongs
Right.
out there. And to your point, he did make that early first throw where he
Right.
rolled. If we see that, he rolled to his
Yeah.
left in the end zone.
This is a very difficult throw for a
Very
right-handed
difficult,
quarterback.
and he also took it right in the face. Like
Look at
he
that.
got
That's
smashed.
perfect. You can't throw it any better than
That's
that.
to Chenault. Yeah, it's a big-time throw. It's a pro football throw. And yet, did you see the end of the play?
Oh, yeah. You got to make him pick himself off the
He
ground.
got rocked, and he tumbled about 3 times around.
Yeah.
End over end. Well, okay, so you say, okay, I see the talent.
Yes.
Now it comes down to intangibles, leadership, charisma, dynamism,
Right.
all those things that go into playing quarterback. I haven't seen that yet. I'm not sure about that yet. We saw the picture on ESPN last night that he provided where took the receivers on an outing. They went out on a boat ride,
Right.
and they looked to be having a lot of fun. Okay, I'll give you that
Yeah,
one.
I like that.
It's a nice start. But do you care enough about it? Does your motor burn hot enough that it inspires the whole team?
Right.
Or do they see you as just the basic surfer dude who's just like whatever?
Right.
You know, because he has a lot of whatever to him.
Yeah, Skip, it's hard for a quarterback to lead if people don't think that he's willing to die for this. It's got to be the most important
Yep.
thing. And I know, look, Skip, people got different hobbies, but I've never met anyone that was great at any particular thing if it wasn't the end-all, be-all. It's just hard. I've never seen anybody. If you look at all the great athletes, you look at all the great from the Elon Musk, they don't just have to be sports figures, Skip. Look at the people in business.
Yep.
A lot of them ended up getting divorced because why? That was the most important thing. In football, when they get married, the significant other understands that this is the most important thing.
Yep.
It's just hard for me to believe, Skip. It was it for me. And John, I knew it was it for him. And so we clicked. He knew it was that important to me. I knew it was that important to him. So, okay, let's go. Let's make this thing happen.
Yep.
You're going to have to convince those guys, Skip, because you can't. They read what they read. And you said, well, hey, it is what it is, basically. And, it's not the end all be all. It's not the most important thing.
Yep.
Bull jive. This is how I pay my bills. This is how I send my kids to private school. And I live in a nice gated community.
Yep.
So, yeah, this is the end all be all for me.
So to your point, and I completely believe in your point, 1,000%, because I'm at fault for all that you say. That's how I live my life. In Trevor Lawrence, I see star quality. Not sure I see a star's temperament. I don't know. I don't know if I see star commitment, star obsession, whatever that is.
Well, you got to be in that position, Skip.
Yeah.
There's some other positions that you can get by just because of talent, but that position requires so much of you. Mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically. Skip, you got to be all in at that position.
Yeah.
If you're not,
Well, he's got the ability. That we know.
But they're going to have to put some talent around him,
Yeah,
Skip.
sure.
They're kind of talent devoid.
And DJ Chark's still got a banged up, I think it's
Yeah.
his thumb, so he'll be back soon.
Yeah.
They need a deeper threat to sort of stretch the
Marvin
field a little
Jones.
bit.
Marvin Jones is a quality receiver. Chenault needs to take another step forward. They need to get a solid tight end, Skip. I mean, they got tight end guys that can block and catch 5-yard routes, but they need guys that can open it up.
They cut their 7-stringer and kept 6 of them, right? They kept 6 tight ends, and they still don't have a tight end, right?
Oh, so if they'd have kept that one, they'd have had a tight end, huh?
Well, at least they'd had some intangibles, right?
No. I need tangible. I need somebody who can get the ball in the end zone, Skip.
No mercy.
A list of NFL analysts ranked quarterbacks in a dozen different categories going into the season. And to no surprise, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady were tops of many of them. Rodgers took the top spot over Brady in accuracy, decision-making, and pocket presence. Meanwhile, Brady was able to come out on top in mechanics, competitiveness, and field vision. Shannon, did they get this right?
Yeah, I think they did, Skip. The only thing I just skipped for me for competitiveness, Skip, that's something that we can't measure. We don't know what burns inside a person. But all these other things that we can actually measure, they're like tangible things that we not only can we see, they're measurable. Arm strength, okay, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Accuracy, Rodgers has thrown 412 touchdowns to only 89 interceptions. Mechanics, no question. I would not teach a quarterback the mechanics of Aaron Rodgers because he throws a lot off his back foot, Skip, and I'm like, Bro, how you doing that? Why?
Yeah, this ranking had Aaron Rodgers second to Tom Brady.
Yeah, I would not.
Thank you.
First of all, Skip, the way Mahomes and Rodgers throws the football, I'm not teaching that. I'm not teaching that.
And yet Mahomes is ranked third in mechanics. What?
No, I ain't teaching that.
Kids, don't try this at home.
Do not try this at home. But if I catch you doing this, you're not playing quarterback. But Skip, look, it just goes to show you at the age of 44, Tom Brady is still thought of as a top 1, 2, 3 quarterback, even at the age of 44. And I don't think there's any question that we know that these are the 3 best quarterbacks in football: Rodgers, Brady, and Mahomes. Josh Allen was slightly behind a lot of these things. But I do think they got it right, Skip. I expect Rodgers to play even better, considering that what he put us through this offseason, what he put the Packers and their fans through this offseason. I expect him to play better. But I expect Tom. I think Tom, I don't know if he throws 40 touchdowns, but I think he cleans up some things. The question is, Skip, how do you replicate? Because last year seemed like a magical season, like it was just meant to be. Hollywood has never written a story like this. We've never seen a story like this, Skip. Normally it takes a couple of years. And then in the end, like Peyton, last season, gets to win the Super Bowl, then right off into the sunset. Tom's like, Tom's like, this is going to be my first chapter. I'm going to leave a new team, go to another team.
In the middle of a pandemic with no preseason
That's
games.
his first chapter. So he's just getting started his book.
While playing on a torn MCL.
So for me, Skip, I do believe they got it right. I think there's a lot of things you can see. They're 1, 2, or 2, 3 in a lot of different categories. From the looks of it, Skip, I don't think the panel thought either guy is very tough. One guy was 7th, the other guy was 9th. Design run, both were unranked. Second, reaction ability, obviously, Skip, once you grit off script, we know that's not what Tom is good at. But I do believe, Skip, scrambling. Tom ain't no scrambler. He never had. But he's found a way to survive, and he didn't need to do any scrambling. I do believe they got it right, Skip. But looking at it, I see a lot of 1-2s on both of their sides. So I believe they got it right, Skip.
Here's where this ranking loses me.
Okay, what you got?
Help me out. Decision making is what? Who's 1, 2 in decision making?
Brady, Rodgers and Mahomes. Rodgers and Brady. And Rodgers is 1.
Okay, how is Aaron Rodgers a better decision maker than Tom Brady? I just can't fathom it. The greatest decision maker I've ever seen is Tom Brady, and I'm talking about over 20 years.
I think the thing is, Skip, when you look at 48-4, 48 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and you look at the low, he's a 4 to 4.5 to 1 touchdown to interception guy. So that lets you know he doesn't turn the football over. So I think that goes into the decision-making process.
Okay. So are we just doing regular seasons? Do we throw in the postseason when it matters the most? Okay, that's my problem here. Right. I'm going to remind everybody. Since Aaron Rodgers won that long ago Super Bowl with Mike McCarthy as his head coach, Aaron Rodgers as a starter in the playoffs is 7-8. He's under 500. He's 1-4 in NFC championship games for his career. 1-4, including the loss to Brady last year, obviously at Lambeau. Mm-hmm. And when I look at the 7-8, it's flawed because of the 7 wins. You got the Dez catch game, which is debatable.
It ain't debatable.
You got the Mason crossbar game when Mason Crosby made 2 of the strangest looking field goals I've ever seen from 56 yards and 51 yards to burn my Cowboys at home, and that was Dak and Zeke in their rookie years when they were rolling. And then we had the Odell boat trip game up at Lambeau. That's a pretty easy one because they just gave you that one thanks to Odell, who dropped 2 big passes early in that game. And then you got to beat Joe Webb, you got to beat Kirk Cousins. And then even last year, Aaron Donald had to play with cracked ribs. I couldn't even see him on the field. He was completely nullified by his cracked ribs, right? And who was the starting quarterback? I can't even remember his name because it was the backup quarterback because Jared Goff had the screw in the pin in his thumb, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so there are a lot of flawed wins in the 7 that he has, 7 and 8 losses, okay? So my point is, when it's time, who makes the better decision? Well, it's just Tom Brady. And do I need to bring up what happened on 1st and goal at the 8 in the NFC Championship game in the 4th quarter? I think we do have that. I didn't think we had that. That was I don't know.
Lazard, why are you dunking? They throw it, it's a football. Catch it.
Is this a good decision?
No.
I don't think so. And then here we go, third down. Is this a great decision because you could have run with it and you decide to whip it across your body back into double coverage at the goal line to Devontae, and you got no shot at that?
Skip, you can't skip.
Okay, so I'm pulling out a small sample
exactly,
size, right? Okay, but those were the plays. So my point is, when it's really time to make the decision and the throw, I'll take Brady every time because he's proven it at the highest level again and again and again and again and again.
What about the decision to do this?
Okay, that was fourth down. Okay, was that a decision to be made, or was he just knocked woozy? Because I believe he got concussed in that
With
game.
a decision, he should have known what down it was.
All right. Well, is that a decision on a read? Does anybody speed read better than Tom Brady?
No.
I don't think so. So that all goes into decision making and accuracy. I'll give you accuracy during regular seasons because Aaron gets on rolls where he's just unconscious. Everything is right on the money. I will give you that. So over long periods of regular season games, I will give you slightly more accurate, but I won't give you more accurate under fire, under pressure, in the biggest playoff games and in Super Bowls, because we've only seen Aaron in one, obviously. So the point is, and then we get to pocket presence, right? And Aaron's won in pocket presence. I don't understand that because Tom's got the sweetest pocket feet I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's got the best sixth sense of knowing when to slide left, slide right, buy an extra half second so I can get this ball off. I don't think we've ever seen better pocket presence than.
I mean, now that we know they in some of these instances, Skip, they used a tie. If Rodgers and Brady had tied in pocket presence, I would have disagreed. Touch, they only got Rodgers fourth in touch. Come on, I get Mahomes. I don't know if Mahomes touched, and I think Russell Wilson was third as far as touch, Skip. It's hard for me to say there's two other guys that got a better touch of the football than Aaron Rodgers. But, I mean, look, Skip, it looks like for me, if you were to add it all up, Rodgers would be 1, Brady would be 2, and Mahomes would be 3. That's what it looks like to me because Brady has 4 unranked, and Rodgers has 1 unranked. And Rodgers' lowest ranking is 7th, while Brady's lowest out other than the unrankings is 9th. So for me, I think it would be Rodgers 1, Brady 2, Mahomes 3.
Do you believe your man Aaron Rodgers could have gotten thrown into that pandemic situation in Tampa with a brand new coach, brand new offense, all new teammates, and pulled off what Brady pulled off?
Yeah, with that team, with that talent,
he could not have. Yeah. It comes down to leadership and
they got 7 guys on the top 100. And if you go 120, they might have 9 because you're going to have A.B. and Gronk. So don't do that, Skip.
7 and 9 the year before. 7 and 9. Whew. Talk about a turnaround. How about leadership? Tom Brady should be ranked 1, and nobody else should even be in the top 10. It should be empty.
Yeah, my homeboy.
Really?
Because you, Skip, how many times Tom Brady, you saw he was down 24-0 on the Houston Texans. Brought them back. Down 10-0 on the Tennessee Titans. Brought them back. He was down by 10 in the Super Bowl. Brought them back. Nobody had ever been down by 10 points or more in 3 consecutive playoff games and walked everybody.
Every time Brady seems to meet him on the biggest stage, Brady plays great and outplays Patrick Mahomes.
The man had 200 yards passing. His defense was outstanding. You know that, Skip. Don't do that. Don't pretend like this was a clash between Brady and my homeboy. His defense got after. The man couldn't get any protection.
Tom Brady won that game by 22 points over Patrick Mahomes.
Skip, but you did the defense, really, Skip. Now, we saw what happened when defenses get after Tom. We saw what the Rams did to him. We saw what the Saints did to him twice with the Rams, Chicago. We saw that, Skip, so don't do that now.
I saw Tom Brady put on masterful performances when it started to matter. Down the stretch, they got crazy hot. When he beat Atlanta twice, he just took them.
Really, Atlanta?
Second half. Well, the defense got scorched in the first half. Go look it up. Look what happened at Atlanta. They were almost hopelessly behind at halftime.
Tom Brady said, I done saw this before. We done been behind 28-3 to the same defense. That same guy. So I'm good. Don't worry about it, guys. Guess what?
I got this?
Yes.
No quarterback played better in the 4 playoff games than Tom Brady did.
Well, it's easy to say because he won it.
Well, I mean, he just played better. He just outplayed everybody.
No, Skip. I don't think I really honestly don't think he outplayed Aaron Rodgers in the championship game. He threw 3. That game was out of hand. Aaron Rodgers should not even have an opportunity to get back in the ball game.
Yep.
It was those 3 turnovers that Brady had that allowed them to get back into the ball game.
I told you what he decided to do. He lost both his starting safeties. He thought Aaron was going to throw a party in the 3rd and 4th quarter. So Tom said, I got to just chuck it.
No.
I got to just chuck it and hope we hit a big deep ball so that we can outscore him.
How about my defense is playing outstanding? How about I don't give them short fields? How about I don't give them momentum? How about I do that? Okay.
Was he playing outstanding? Because Aaron wound up with like 331 passes.
Yeah, but Skip, that was after they had gotten the big lead.
Well,
yeah, but you saw what Shaq Barrett, the first time he went back to pass, what happened? Shaq Barrett sacked him. Didn't Shaq Barrett have like 3 sacks that game?
What did Tom Brady do just before halftime? He basically won the game.
Skip,
right?
He played unbelievable. And like I said, he played well. I don't think he played better than Aaron Rodgers. Aaron had the one bad decision where I felt he should have. And I ain't no second guess. I go back and look at it. I'm like, you should have run that. Chase him, make him catch you at the corner of the end zone. And now it's a 2-point conversion. But that didn't happen. But this is a very interesting matchup.
So you're saying Aaron Rodgers, as we speak, is still and always has been a better quarterback than Tom Brady?
Yeah, I believe he's a better quarterback.
I think that's the wrongest thing you've ever said.
Yeah, Skip, I think he's better. Skip, they've spoken. You know what I noticed? You like stats. You like surveys.
Well, those aren't stats.
Those are surveys. You love surveys. When the survey, hold on.
Oh, no, but that's just a subjective ranking.
Whoa.
It's not statistical based.
Hold on. Time out. Yeah. Well, if I look at accuracy, yeah, it is. Yeah. If I look at accuracy, yeah. I mean, 412 touchdowns to 89 picks. Yeah. 48-4. We've seen a guy go 45-6. We've seen him go 28-2. Yeah, I think he's more accurate. He has a higher completion percentage.
And who has been the more accurate postseason quarterback? It's Tom Brady.
Well, Tom has been in the postseason more, Skip.
Okay. Well, again, maybe that's Aaron's fault.
Let me ask you a question. If I take Tom Brady and put him in Green Bay, and I take Aaron Rodgers and put him in Tampa with that defense, who you think wins?
Well, now that he's established a new culture, they turned it in Tampa Bay, Patriot way to Tampa Bay. Well, now it would work because you could step in there and just push the buttons.
Well, shouldn't he be able
Aaron Rodgers could not have done this. This would have been a disaster for Aaron Rodgers 1 year ago.
Well, since he made it a culture, he can do that again. He can recreate what he created in New England and in Tampa. He can do that in Green Bay,
Oh,
right?
he could, definitely.
So, in other words, if I swap positions, Tom Brady would take the Packers and beat Aaron Rodgers in the Bucs.
Packers are a deep football team. I like them. Yeah. Yes, he would. Absolutely, he would. He just doesn't want to live in Green Bay. That's the problem. So
Aaron Rodgers don't want to live in Green Bay.
Okay, well, he's there.
Skip, I'm saying they seem to be 1-2. I don't know what they did with my homeboy. But my homeboy going to have something to say about that this year. Yeah.
Huh. Well, Andy Reid's been playing him more than any quarterback in the preseason so far because he says he's got to get used to his new offensive line.
You got to get used to his new offensive line, Skip. But if you see how teams are playing them, Tampa's giving them the blueprint. Everybody's playing cover 2, say run the football. And that's what I used to do with a team come out play us in cover 2. I like, TD, run their ass out of cover 2. Make them drop that safety down there to so we get some one-on-one out here.
Yeah.
You can't throw a team out of cover 2. You got to run them out of it.
I agree.
And they said, you know what, Andy? We don't believe you and Eric Bieniemy going to be patient enough to run the football to get us out of cover 2. So we just going to sit back here, put hands on your receivers, and just chill.
Okay.
So they better get to running the football, Skip.
Got it.
But your day coming. What about your Cowboys? What they
my
gonna
day
do?
already came.
Hold on, where is Dak? Hold on, Jenny, before you go, where was Dak in all of this?
He's just counting his money.
You waited this long to bring that up, Shannon?
I want to know, where was Dak in arm strength and accuracy and touch and mechanics?
Do you see salary on there? He's $75 million and Brady's $27.5.
Yeah, okay. That don't win you no championship. Money don't win you championships.
He's going to have to show why he's worth it.
Having a lot of meetings win you championships.
Yep.
No mercy. Sean Payton Payton still hasn't named an official starter, even after many are assuming Jameis Winston will win it over Taysom Hill after last night's performance. Payton has always said it was a 50-50 competition and even started Hill over Winston when Brees was hurt last season. So, Shannon, why do you think Sean Payton believes so much in Taysom Hill as a starting QB?
Because he wants to show everybody that he found the guy and turned the guy that nobody else wanted, Skip, and turned him into a starting quarterback and can win with him.
Yep.
This has been Sean Payton's project for 4 years, Skip. That's basically what it's been. I believe Jameis Winston has a better arm. He's a better quarterback. He's able to do more. But Sean Payton wants to show, and that's how coaches are, Skip. I believe coaches are willing to take more credit for a guy that they find in the later rounds and turn him into something as opposed to a first or second round pick. Because everybody expects the first or second round pick to be something, to do something. You take a guy in the 6th or 7th round, that's probably Coach Belichick's most gratifying thing. I took a 6th round draft pick, and look what I turned him into.
Yep.
Whereas opposed to a number 1 overall draft pick, Skip, those are expectations. You expected that. So I just think that's what Sean wants to do. Sean wants to show everybody. I took a guy that, yes, he was a jack for us. He did a little bit of everything. A lot of people thought he was going to be a project. I took the project. I took the jack. I turned him into a starting quarterback, an every down quarterback, and look how you like me now. That's what I'm capable of doing. Because every coach thinks he's a genius, Skip. Oh, man, my system better than his system. I take his players to beat him and take my players and beat him. So that's just how good my coaching system is. I don't believe the case. I don't believe that's the case. I believe Jameis Winston is a better quarterback than Taysom Hill. And I believe he's going to win the job over Taysom Hill, considering what I saw last night.
I completely concur. I have never quite understood Sean Payton's fascination with a guy he did take off the Green Bay scrap heap because he was cut by the Packers.
Yes.
And he hit the waiver wire, and Sean Payton snapped him up and said, I can go places with this young man. I'm sure he's a great young man. He's now not that young. He's 31 years of age. Got a late start, as you know. Yeah,
because he had a couple of injuries at BYU, and so I think he was a fifth-year senior.
Yep. So what do we see here? We see, again, Sean Payton has said he can be a playoff quarterback. He is a special athlete as far as all-around ability.
Yeah, he can catch, tackle, run it.
If there were an NFL decathlon, I would pick Taysom Hill to win it. I'm talking about if you had to do every skill in the NFL, including blocking and tackling
he definitely
in the decathlon, he would win it because he's a big kid. What's he go, 240-ish?
Easy.
Yep, maybe 250. And he can catch it, and he can run with it, and he can run because he ran 4.4. I don't know if he can still run 4.4. It looks like he's lost some weight this year, but he's...
That's what they said.
4.4. So he is legit speed for his size. And yet, even though he's got... what'd I say? He has a decent arm. I'm going to give him a decent arm. It ain't Jameis's arm.
No.
And... he's fairly accurate, but he's not deadly accurate. So I'm not seeing him have the capability of throwing the football at the highest level. And if you can't do that, you got problems. Okay, so who is the guy most compared to Taysom and vice versa is Tim Tebow, who's recently retired by Urban Meyer in the NFL.
Correct.
So what's the difference here? What if I had to rate and debate those two guys, compare and contrast? Well, obviously, he's got a better arm than Tebow. Not a bigger arm, but a more accurate arm than Tim Tebow. He can definitely run faster than Tim Tebow. I don't know if he's niftier. I don't know if he can make you miss quite the way Tebow could in his glory days for your Broncos when he turned them into the #1 rushing attack. And yet he can do all kinds of things like catching that Tebow couldn't do, blocking Tebow's lost, tackling. He just didn't have to tackle anybody. But this kid can do everything.
He plays special teams.
Yeah, he can play special teams. And I do not doubt you could put him at linebacker if you had to for a game in a pinch, and I'll bet he'd be decent.
Yeah.
I bet he'd figure it out on the fly. But the problem is he got to start 4 games. And did you ever see special in those 4 games? Because I did not.
I did not.
I saw him at Philadelphia against Jalen Hurts when Jalen ended up outplaying him. But Taysom put up decent numbers, and that was a bad Philadelphia defense. But he went 28 of 38 for 291. Not bad. 2 touchdowns to 1 interception. He ran for 33 more yards, and his QBR was 67, which is it's decent. It was a pretty good showing.
Right.
Then he lost that game, but he beat Atlanta twice, and he won at Denver when they just shut it down and said, let's just run it in the ground. Let's run them in the ground.
Yes,
right?
Skip, in those 3 wins, his defense gave up 28 total points.
Okay.
Well, if you give up a little over 9 points a game, you're going to win a lot of games, regardless who your quarterback
and
is.
in the game at Atlanta, Taysom ran it 14 times for 83 yards, so that really contributed to the offense.
Correct.
Okay? So that was more Tebow-esque because Tebow is kind of 50-50 run pass.
Right.
But Tebow could make late plays. I don't see that special late game charisma that Tebow had. I don't see it from Taysom Hill. I don't see the playmaking. He'll make plays occasionally downfield, catching a big pass or touchdown pass.
Right.
But he's better as a gadget guy.
Yes.
Right? Than he is as a starting quarterback.
Right.
So I don't know. It's almost like stubborn pride. Pride goeth before the fall.
Yes.
When he's
I'm going to show you.
I'm going to show you. And I would think that Jameis just slammed that door shut last night, but no one, listen, Sean Payton does whatever the hell Sean Payton wants to do.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't write this thing completely off. I just know your eye test, my eye test. After the first touchdown pass last night, I just said, that's just too good.
There is no way Sean Payton or anybody else can watch that game film and said Taysom Hill was comparable to Jameis last night.
No.
There's no way.
Yeah, he let Taysom play just about the rest of the game.
Yeah.
He played a bunch of snaps. Right. And he'll occasionally make a play and make a throw, and you'll say, okay, that's pretty good.
Right.
But it's not better than Jameis. So do I think he can be a consistent starting winning quarterback? I do not.
I don't either. I think he's better. I think he's suited perfectly for the role that he had. It is okay.
Yeah. Would I want him on my football team? You better believe I would.
Yes.
I could do some things.
You can do
with
a lot of different things. And they've done that with him over the course since he's been in New Orleans, Skip. He's carved out a nice little niche for himself. They paid him good money, Skip. I mean, even before there was a potential for him being a starter, they gave him a lot of money for a guy that is a jack. Return the game. He'll quarterback sneak it. They'll throw it to him a couple of times. He'll throw a pass here and there out of the Wildcat. But they paid him a lot of money, which shows you that they have a certain level of confidence in him. But I don't believe he's better than Jameis. And I believe Jameis has earned the job from what I've seen last night when Jacksonville had their starters on the field. That was their starting defense that they was going up against. And Jameis did outstanding.
He did. So I am fascinated to see if Sean Payton can swallow all of his pride and say, Jameis is the guy.
I believe he will be.
I hope so for Jameis to say.
I hope so. I hope so, too.
No mercy. Saturday, J.D. Martinez and the Red Sox take on the Indians at 4 Eastern, and then at 9, MVP candidates collide as Fernando Tatis Jr. and the Padres take on Shohei Ohtani and the Angels, all on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. The Cowboys continue to remain confident Dak Prescott will be ready Week 1. During a radio interview this morning, Jerry Jones said Dak sitting out now is about making sure he is good to go later in the season. Jerry also emphasized Dak would not have missed time if this injury happened in the regular season and added, quote, when he wants to right now, he can let it go. So, Shannon, do you buy what Jerry's selling?
Man, I ain't buying what Jerry's selling for $1. So let that sink in. So think about what Jerry just said. If he wanted to let it go right now, he could.
That's what he said.
Okay, we're going out there and let it go.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw a player basically miss 6 weeks just because? Nah, man, I'm just going to chill, just wait for the regular season. Come on, Jerry. Jerry's trying to convince us. Now, I'm a quadrillion %. When Troy said this injury is more serious than what the Cowboys are letting on, the more I hear Jerry, the more I hear Stephen Jones, it validates everything that Troy said because they're trying to convince you. There is no way if Dak could not throw, he was going to be able to throw in the regular season. They gave Dak this time out for a reason. Jerry's trying to go, I have no compunction. I hope not. It'll be 6 weeks since he last threw meaningful footballs. So I hope after 6 weeks, Jerry, he's able to go play. But for you to say, oh, he can cut it loose right now if he wanted to, he just doesn't want to. Really? Really, Jerry? Skip, you worried. I know you said in the beginning you weren't worried. You worried. I love it.
Back to Jenny's question. I am buying what Jerry's selling because I don't have any other choice, right? I have to.
No.
I got no other hope here. It's my $75 million quarterback. He's back, and my biggest fear going into this season was he had 2 surgeries, not one, but 2 surgeries on his ankle that was a career-threatening compound fracture.
Right.
So that's all I focused on. All my mental energy was geared toward 2 surgeries on his ankle. Can he come back from that? Can he get his mobility back? Can he get his pocket feet confidence back under fire? And so obviously going into the preseason, even Mike McCarthy said we had a plan in place. He'd play 10 to 15 plays in the first game, then he'd play a quarter in the second game, and then he said he might even play a half in the third game. A half? He's played 0.
Right.
I had to sit and watch the other night. Patrick Mahomes played 33 snaps in the first half. 33 snaps?
Tom Brady's even played.
He's played. He's going
to play Saturday.
He didn't play in the second one, but he's going to play in the next one.
Right.
What's the oldest cliche in the sport that you played? To get better at football, you have to play football.
You do.
It's one of those games where you just have to play it.
Yes.
Because it's hard to simulate it in practice, especially at the quarterback position when the quarterback is completely protected in practice.
Right.
He wears some sort of Target jersey that makes it off limits. It can be red, it can be yellow, but normally it's red. Don't touch the quarterback during practice because if you hurt him, we're done.
Right.
So that's the whole philosophy. So for the quarterback to actually get better, to take quantum leaps, you have to put him under fire. You have to risk what Patrick Mahomes risked the other day, thanks to Andy Reid, because after the game, Andy said, I've got a whole new offensive line. He's got to figure it out with those guys. He's got to come to grips with how he does, he does. It's a feeling, it's a connection that's hard to achieve in practice because it's the real, so to speak, bullets aren't flying, right?
Yes.
And
they need to know where Patrick Mahomes is going to be, Skip. They've never blocked for Patrick. A lot of these guys have never blocked for Patrick Mahomes.
No. So they got the new center from the University of Oklahoma, who I've loved since he was a freshman, Creed Humphrey. But he's yelling at him during the game, call it! Call it, because Creed's got to look, he's got to call the protection. And Patrick is, okay, so they're practicing, they're rehearsing.
Right.
Call it!
Right.
Just call it!
Right.
Because he's a little lockjawed, like, go ahead. Okay, that's how you have to figure it out. Well, Dak hadn't played with his offensive line for, it seems like, 3 years, and now the 3 stalwarts are back. And they all started the other night and played just a little bit, so I was happy with that. But I'm not happy that my quarterback, what's the new way in the NFL this preseason? It's joint scrimmages.
Correct.
Because that's one way where you can have sort of real bullets flying, but you still can protect the quarterback because he's still wearing a red target.
That is correct.
And you cannot hit him in the scrimmage, but it's liver because you've got an opponent over there who's actually running different defenses that you have not seen.
Right.
So you can get some fairly quality work done without putting your quarterback in too much of harm's way. Okay, Dak, remember, we got to see in episode 1 of Hard Knocks, they're to their first padded practice, and that's when it's revealed he's got something wrong with his arm.
Right.
How can you do that? I'm going to say it one more time. I've been covering this game for longer than you played it. In my whole career, I've never heard of a quarterback suffering some sort of pulled muscle. This is supposed to be a lat muscle.
Correct.
It was originally reported as a tear, a muscle tear.
Right.
But I've never heard a quarterback, not any quarterback in all the teams I've been around, having that injury anytime, ever, not let alone just in training camp.
Correct.
So it became pretty clear to you that Dak was overthrowing with his upper body, trying to protect his lower body because he didn't trust it. And so in all their throwing drills, he's trying to, you're just arm throwing. That's what you're doing. And because you're torquing too much upstairs, something somehow pulled and it became a quote-unquote baseball injury. And our man Jay Glazer reported that the Cowboys medical people and trainers had to seek the input of the Texas Rangers and the New York Yankees baseball trainers. How do we deal with this injury?
Correct.
Well, if it were just a strain, it would seem like it would come and it would go.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And weeks are piling up now with no activity.
Right.
Except for what I call soft tossing.
Correct.
Right? I watched the tapes of all the, I saw all the highlights or lowlights of the 51 passes they said in pregame warm-up the other night ahead of the Arizona game. And he cut loose, quote unquote, on one, but it was just a lob down the field to Zeke.
Right.
Well, is he just protecting, or is it still a little tight?
What did the trainer came to Mike McCarthy and says when Dak says that when he tries to cut it loose, it hurts. Yeah. So we're going to calm him down. So what do you mean if he wanted to cut it loose? If he tells the trainer, when I throw it hard, it hurts, that's telling me, no, you can't. I don't care what Jerry says. If something about that quarterback and you're going to ask him to throw the ball 35, 40 times, and every time he throws, he winces. No. And this is what he said, Skip. He said Dak Prescott will play in a regular season game. It's just not worth the gain out there in practice to not get him rest. Dak says Jerry pitch count, very common for pulls, muscle pulls, soft tissue type injuries. Jerry, in your 30-plus years of owning a team, name the time you've had a quarterback or a player have this type of injury. Yes, hamstrings. Yes, quad, calves, groin, yoke. Yes, those type of soft tissue pulls are very common. Name the time that you've heard of a quarterback or a player having this type of soft tissue injury. I'll just be waiting, Jerry. It's very uncommon, and that's why you're concerned. Because if it was a groin, you're like, okay, a groin, we've had groin, it's going to take this time. Hamstring, quad, calf.
Right.
That's something that we've had since the beginning of football.
Yep.
But that type of injury, you didn't know anything about or how to treat it. That's why you went outside. Jerry's worried.
Okay.
Jerry's trying to convince you worried too. I believe deep down inside you worried too.
I will not admit that. But this is not an opening game against the team they played the other night, the Houston Texans. Yeah. This, unfortunately, is at Tampa Bay. This is a solo stage game on Thursday night, September the 9th, against, to me, the best team in football.
Right.
The prohibitive favorite to repeat as Super Bowl champs, against a defense that all came back intact, that is a year better, a year wiser, a year hotter. This was the hottest defense in the league at the end of the year. It took apart Drew Brees. It took apart Aaron Rodgers in the fourth quarter. It took apart Patrick Mahomes the whole game. And now you're going to throw Dak into that fire, down in that humidity down there on Thursday night. It's the worst. It's the wrong place, wrong time for this quarterback to have to figure it back out.
Skip it. Then in the very next statement, he says any type of restriction he's having right now in his routine is 100% about later in the season. So you're admitting he's having restriction. Yeah. I thought you said he could, if he wanted to, he could go out there and do it right now. So which is it, Jerry? Either he's having restrictions or he isn't.
Yep.
Everything is about the Skip. What team doesn't say, you know what we're doing right now is all about the regular season. We want all our players to be healthy through the regular season.
Yep.
But you're not saying, well, he's restricted right now, so it's all about... No, he's restricted because he's injured. That's what the restriction is about. I don't bet Tom Brady ain't on no pitch count. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, none of those guys are on a pitch count. You don't think they're concerned about the regular season also? Of course.
The only thing you ever hear in preseason is like a dead arm, like a camp arm.
Yes.
Where you throw so many camp passes.
Correct.
It just gets tired.
Right.
It just gets a little sore from overuse.
Correct.
Just give him a day off, and you saw John Elway just bounce back.
Yes.
Because he had a cannon.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay, so that's not happening here. It's not tired arm. It's injured arm that I've never heard of.
Correct.
And yet they keep saying we have to save Dak from himself because he's such a gamer, he's such a baller, he's such a competitor that he wants to throw, but we won't let him. Well, they won't let him because they're looking at the MRI saying this is not right.
Thank you.
And Dak himself said, I need another MRI.
Correct.
And they said, oh, it looks great. I don't think it looked great.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you. He's still feeling some discomfort in that arm when he lets it rip. Because like you said, Zeke running, half-heartedly down the field and him lobbing it to him is not zipping it.
No. So in the end, he's going to go from Game 5 last year, when he very unfortunately, almost tragically got hurt.
Right.
He's going to go all the way from that moment to September 9th at Tampa Bay.
Right.
I can't do it worse. I can't put you up against it. I cannot give you a higher degree of difficulty than that. And what was my first concern? That he needed to figure out what it feels like to plant that foot again, to make sure the ankle is stable enough that it will take some punishment, that you can get hit from side to side, you can get knocked around, and you can get your confidence back on that repaired ankle. Well, that has not happened. And that will only happen in series number 1 in Tampa, right?
Skip, I'm just trying to figure out, how did 2 to 3 days turn into 6 weeks? Because that's what they originally told us. This is 2 or 3 days. We're going to let him, we're going to shut him down for 2 to 3 days. He'll be back. It turns into 6 weeks. But everything's okay.
And now I await episode 3 tonight of Hard Knocks, because it's the only way I get my news.
Right.
And yet, I'm pretty sure, help me out here, because you were once upon a time on this show.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the Cowboys have what's called editorial control.
They absolutely
Don't they have veto power of what goes in and doesn't go in? So they're not going to divulge anything they don't want to, but sort of unwittingly, we got our news off episode 1 about the early injury, right?
Yeah, right.
We got to see it happen in real time.
Right. Because the trainer says, tells McCarthy, ask him why Dak is in. That's, we uncorks it.
Right. And then we see McCarthy in his meeting, and he's asking one of the assistants, like, what's his GPS now? Well, it's 575. I don't know if steps taken in throws in practice. Or oh, that's danger zone. That's too many.
Right.
And then we realize, oh, that's why he went over the edge and somehow hurt his arm.
I think the Cowboys are more concerned than they're letting on.
Have to be. Totally.
Because there's no way, Skip, you trying to let a guy that missed that amount of time, and you said it was 2 to 3 days, and now you're saying the next time we're going to see him is in a regular season game again on the road against that team?
Yep. All I know is that my man Ezekiel Elliott better be real good on that opening Thursday night.
Skip, Tampa Bay was number 1 in what last year? Rush defense.
Stopping the run.
So Vita Veda and Sue. So they go back to move Vita Veda. He lost weight, so now instead of being 375, he's 350. Sue is about 310, 320.
And there's this human missile named Devin White who just comes flying into holes.
Levante David.
I know. I got it.
And last I checked, JPP and Shaq Barrett are still there.
I just chalked up a big L at Tampa, so
we got cases.
You know
we
what?
bet every game.
I'm on to Cincinnati, so to speak,
Already?
because it's on to the Chargers in Game 2 out here at SoFi, right?
And don't sleep on Joey Bosa now. He can get after your quarterback.
I got it.
Oh, yeah.
I think we can win.
Definitely can. He
You think so?
Yep.
Justin Herbert going to throw a field day on y'all. He's going to throw a party. He's going to throw a party on y'all.
We're going to get out.
No mercy.
Draymond Green is taking a page out of LeBron's social media playbook. The Warriors forward reposted stats from another account about him to his story. He also added this caption that reads, quote, LeBron, the wash king, but I'm somewhere on the all-wash team too, followed by the laughing, crying emojis and a shrugging emoji. Those emojis, they say it all. Shannon, did you like this?
Sure, I don't have a problem with it, Skip, but he's kind of late. He should have did that after when Clay and Steph was out, when his numbers were down substantially and people was making fun. Man, Draymond had another triple single when everybody was talking. It's naturally, Skip, with no Clay, no Steph, obviously his assist totals are going to be down. Draymond has never been a scorer. I don't think anybody's thinking like, well, man, if Draymond went somewhere else, all of a sudden he's going to average 20 points a game. That's not what he is. But if you look at his bounce back, he shot 45% from the floor. That's up from 39 the previous year when Steph and Clay was out. Averaged 7 points, 7 assists, or 7 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, I think. 7 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, something like that. I think they put the assist after that.
Yep.
But he was better, Skip, last year. He was on Skip, he won a gold medal. He was on first team all defense. So I don't, like I said, I get it. But he's kind of late because he'd already had the bounce back season. I don't think anybody think Draymond's washed. I think they think with Clay coming back and a lot of the reports that he's coming back, Skip, around Christmas, I think his numbers are going to get even better. We know what Draymond represents, Skip. He's not a guy that's going to give you 20 points. He doesn't even go in the game looking to score 20. He goes into the game, what can I do to help my team win? Oh, they need me to give out 16 assists? Gotcha. They need me to grab 12 rebounds? Gotcha. They need me to score 12, 14 points? I got that. Play defense on Rudy Gobert or whomever? I can do that too. So he does some of everything. But I don't have a problem with this, Skip, because a lot of people was making fun of him once Clay. But I don't know what they expected Draymond to do with no Clay and no Steph. Yeah. So who is he going to give the assist to? So I don't have a problem with it, Skip, but he's probably a year behind. Should have put this up last year.
Okay. I got several bigger picture takeaways before I get to the guts of what I want to say. The first one is this, and I know LeBron started this, but I just can't quite get it through my head and get comfortable with the term washed, because it was always washed up. Yeah. But where did the up go? Yeah.
It turned out we cut
it away?
We just cut it short. Yeah.
Streamline it a little bit, get it down to wash. Yeah. Because to me, if you're washed, you're cleaned up. Right.
Well, Skip, there's a term you just say, okay, man, I'm being dead ass serious. Okay. Now they drop the serious and they just say dead ass. Okay. And so we just cut it. We just took some pieces off it.
Okay. Well, did LeBron start that, or was it more just on the internet?
What, Wise King?
Down? Yeah. No, down.
Just saying wash?
Did LeBron start dropping the up?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, they just started dropping that. Oh, man, you washed.
Okay, got it. All right, that's number one. Now, number two, this is amusing to me. So this is the same Draymond who once upon a time during the NBA Finals called LeBron James the B word. Yeah. And he did it so audibly, so loudly, that Kiki Vandeweghe, who meted out punishment for the NBA, was sitting in the first or second row. He heard it. A lot of people heard it courtside and proceeded to get into an altercation with LeBron as they went up court. And then he kicked him in the you-know-what. And here we went, and Draymond got suspended for Game 5 of the NBA Finals. And it was groundbreaking, because never before has a starter and a key player on a team gotten suspended for a finals game. You have to go a long way to go completely over the edge to pull that off. And obviously Draymond had some recent history, because he'd also kicked, was it Steven Adams in the midsection. Okay. So we have gone from that to all of a sudden, before I knew what had happened, Draymond somehow then re-ingratiated himself with LeBron to the point he's his business partner and one of his closest friends. Yeah. How did we get over that? Because even you have admitted, if you got called that word by a competitor, that bridge would be burned. Like that's over and out for the rest of your life. You cannot come back from that.
But Brian, Skip, Brian different. Brian was like, you know what? In the heat of the moment, you said some things. We could. Let's go make this money. Let's get this money together.
Really?
Yeah, that's how Brian thinks. Brian good like that. He good people.
Keep your friends close and your enemies even closer. So his enemy became his business partner. Yeah. Wow. That's beyond me.
There's money to be made out there, Skip. We ain't finna be bitter at each other. We finna make this bread.
Okay. I don't think you could have swallowed that much pride. Maybe if there were dollars on the table, maybe you'd say, okay, I'll do it just this once.
How many dollars?
How many dollars would be the question. Also, Draymond Green, during a basketball game, sitting on the bench with a teammate at Clippers, that teammate being one Kevin Durant, the best player on the planet, got into it with him and called him the B word. Yeah. And I believe it hastened the exit of one Kevin Durant from Golden State to Brooklyn. And the next thing I know, he's done it again. Draymond has re-ingratiated himself into the very good graces of Kevin Durant, because they're BFFs now. Right. They were Olympic teammates and inseparable. It was almost like Kyrie and Kevin became Draymond and Kevin at the Olympics. Yeah. And when, obviously, at the end of the game, when they're walking up the tunnel and Kevin is posted, I think it was live. He went live on, IG Live. Yeah. And Draymond's in the background chiming in. Right? Yeah. Okay, so how did that happen? I don't know. Draymond's got this magical quality. You can, in the heat of battle, you can call somebody that word, and that's one of those words where you can't come back from.
But Skip, if you listen to that entire interview, KD said the only reason that he came back was to three-peat. if there was no 3-peat possibility, he was gone the year before. He said only because it had been so special, because it's been done who did that? The Lakers did it. The Lakers did it, the Bulls did it, and then you got to go back to the Celtics in the 60s. Mm-hmm. So because it had been done so infrequently, he said I wanted to be a part of that. But had that not been on the table, Skip, I don't believe Kevin Durant would have come back for the third year. So, like I said, I believe it was 99% chance he was already gone. Draymond said what he did, but I commend those guys. It takes a lot, Skip, to forgive someone when you know they've said something or done something wrong. And that's
remember, Draymond made it clear in the recent interview he did on his new show with Kevin. He made it clear that he was badgered by the executives and Steve Kerr the night of, and then the next morning to apologize. He said, I ain't apologized.
Well, he said, I don't need y'all to tell me what I need to say.
Yeah.
K and I fix this. Yeah. But in a situation like that,
I think he made it pretty clear that he did not owe Kevin an apology. That's how it came across to me.
Well, but like I said, Skip, look, it happens. LeBron forgave him. KD forgave him. Now they're making this money together. Now they better the empire together.
Okay, so now I'm going to defend LeBron on this point. So all of a sudden, Draymond is sort of putting himself in the same sentence with LeBron, like, I also belong on the all-wash team. No, you don't. You do not belong on the same page, on the same IG graphic. You just don't. I'm sorry. You're not in his company. He is just as, obviously, I believe LeBron doesn't belong in the same sentence with Michael Jordan. Neither does Draymond with LeBron. In this case.
Are you really? Did you just say that?
Yes, he's trying to associate with LeBron.
Did you just say that?
I just said
there's the same amount of gap between Draymond and LeBron as there is between Jordan and LeBron.
Say that.
You know what? You wrong for that, Skip.
That was the best point I made all day.
Yeah,
that was a good
You think
one.
I was gonna let that slip by, huh?
Yeah, I did, and it worked.
No, it didn't.
So again, he's complimenting LeBron at the highest level. GOAT at work. That's baloney.
Yeah, you gotta go.
GOAT at work.
GOAT.
And then he's saying, and I'm also on the all-wash team.
Yeah.
Okay, well, are you, we get it that, you just keep doing what you've always done. You assist, you defend, you rebound. We get all that. So you put those numbers up, you make all defensive teams, and yet your scoring and your shooting and your shot making gets worse by the year.
Yeah, but that's not what he is.
Okay, I got that, but that's what people say you're washed about. Well, he just gets worse. Listen, he's
when was he ever clean, Skip?
He's become a blooper reel. During the Olympics, every time he got the ball in his hands, I'm like, just pass it, just get rid of it.
Skip,
because sometimes they would just dare him, and this is Draymond, like he's always like, should I shoot?
But Skip, you do realize, had they won that championship, he's probably going to be Finals MVP. You remember that Game 7 that he had? He had 35, 12, and 9.
He had a big game.
I agree. He made like 6 or 7 threes.
Okay, but the reason he's washed is that from that moment on, I can show you decline in his offensive game.
Yeah, Skip, but
I don't know if he works at it anymore.
It was just that one year that he had a great year shooting the 3-ball.
Okay.
That was it. 39% that year. All the other times it's been like 30, 27, 31.
Okay.
With the exception of that one year.
And now he's an air ball waiting to happen from 3. And sometimes he gets dared to drive it. And it's this awkward sort of up, and he'll miss dunks, he'll miss layups, he'll airball layups. Like, it's hard to watch.
That's okay. I'll take that over Ben Simmons. At least he ain't afraid to shoot it. He ain't afraid to shoot it.
I'll take Ben Simmons over Draymond any day.
No,
I will.
No. Nope.
Huh?
Nope.
Who's the better defender, Ben Simmons or Draymond? Stop it.
Draymond.
Ben Simmons at 6'10".
Draymond
6'6".
6'6" and strong. He'll battle.
He is strong.
He'll battle Gobert. He'll play KD. He'll play LeBron. He'll guard Kawhi. He'll guard every position.
He is naturally born strong. I agree.
He guards Yoke. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I got that. I'll take 6'10" and long and strong.
But see, at least my guy, I'm gonna be able to keep him on the floor the entire game. Your guy, late in the ball game, if it's close, is gonna have to go to the bench.
Well, that's a whole nother story. Although he's not like Draymond's a lethal free throw shooter.
He better than that other guy.
Well, at the moment he is. But I've seen, like just last year in February, I watched a game at Utah, and Ben Simmons made 12 out of 13 free throws and scored 42 points.
Yeah. And then what did you see the last playoff time? Last time you saw him play, how was he doing? They were doing hack up in, and how did that work out for him?
who's made the All-Star team the last 3 years in a row? One Ben Simmons.
My guy's won Defensive Player of the Year.
Huh. Draymond's your guy now?
That's my guy.
Okay, all right. Well, he has. My guy has made the last 2 all-defensive teams, and he's much younger than your guy.
My guy's already been there, done that.
My guy
Should've
won
been
Rookie of the Year. Did your guy win Rookie of the Year?
Well,
No,
Skip, he won
not.
Rookie of the Year. The dude was 27 when he won Rookie of the Year. He should have been. The NBA need to pass a rule. When you get drafted, that is your rookie class. You do not get to set out an entire season or an entire 2-3 season and then come and play and talk about you are a rookie. Your rookie class was the year that you got drafted. You can win the trophy that year, but not subsequent years.
Whatever. He won Rookie of the Year, and he's a better all-around player than Draymond.
I'm taking Dre.
Yep. All washed.
Maybe this all washed is a motivational.
You a hater too,
guys.
See, you got it in for. Hold on, you do all them rep by the same
wash
guy.
your opinions.
All them guys are rep by the same guy. You know Rich Paul.
Yes, I do know Rich Paul.
So
I like Rich
to
Paul.
it.
All them guys
That's
are
the
rep
best
by
thing LeBron's got going is Rich Paul and Maverick and Randy.
Yeah, and your boy me.
They're the
Fifth Horseman.
superstars, the Fifth Horseman. Yep.
No mercy. Tomorrow night on FS1, the MLS All-Star Game takes center stage as Major League Soccer's biggest stars battle against the best of Liga MX. The action kicks off tomorrow at 9 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Bengals rookie wide receiver Jamar Chase appears to be having a difficult time adjusting to the NFL. Joe Burrow's former college running mate dropped 3 passes on Friday against the Washington football team, including one that was picked off. During practice on Sunday, the rookie also dropped another 2 passes. So, Shannon, how worried should the Bengals be here?
Yeah, I wouldn't be concerned about the drops because a lot of that is mental, Skip. You start dropping the ball and then you try to body catch it, and then you start like are my hands correct? Should I do my hands like this? Do I do my hands like this? You know, you always try to keep from having your thumbs down when you catch the football. And so a lot of that is mental. What I'm concerned about is they're talking about him having trouble getting off press coverage. Because if you're a wide receiver, you can't beat press coverage. You do 2 things. You coach or you sell cars. Those are the only 2 options, Skip. Because Mike Shannon used to come in there when we was playing in the AFC West. We had the Raiders and we had Kansas City. There was no secret what they're going to do. They're playing man coverage. Albert Lewis and Kevin Ross are going to be right there.
Yep.
And then they got James Hasty and Dale Carter. They're going to be right there.
Yep.
And the Raiders had Terry McDaniel, then they had Albert Lewis, and they had Lionel Washington right there. And Mike said, look, you got 2 choices. Beat man coverage or you coaching. I ain't got no availability on my coaching staff. Hey, John, you hired at the coach and then selling cars? Like, nah, I'm booked up. So that's it. You're out of a job. So that's what's concerning to me, Skip, because I believe the drops are mental. You start second guessing yourself. Should I body catch it? Do I hand catch it? Do I let you catch the ball like this? All that. But he's got to get off press coverage. And what he's learning, Skip, is that NFL DBs, they play through. There ain't no situation where, oh, he got it beat. In college, you get beat the guy, Skip, they just give up. That's not how it works in the NFL. They play through until you're on the ground. They're going to be digging and pulling at the ball.
So I disagree with your conclusion for the very reason that you first brought up. If I'm the Bengals, I'm scared to death about this because it is mental. He's got the demons lurking. He's starting to second guess. He's starting to think hard about, how did I do this? He sat out last year. He opted out.
Yep.
And it's been a long time since he took over a football game the way he did like the national championship game when he was just unguardable. And yet, when I watched that video, those drops, I was not watching the game as it transpired, but as I watched the video, it looks worse and worse to me because he's second guessing to the point where on the one little slant, he just gives up on the ball because he doesn't want to get hit.
Oh, yeah. He saw Landon College.
Like he said,
that's LSU versus Alabama.
I don't want any part of that.
Oh, yeah. And Landon College said, I was just going to give him a love tap.
And the other one, you seemed just kind of looking at his hands like, what just happened? Because in his life, I will bet you he's never thought twice about how he caught the football.
No.
Because you don't need to think about it. It should come naturally. Should I do this or should I do this?
It's very natural.
And he's a hands catcher, obviously, because he's a great catcher of the football. We saw it at LSU. but you can't let it get in on you. You can't let it catch you, get it up against your body, because then it's going to hit up against your pads and it's going to pop off.
And the thing is, Skip, once you drop 1 or 2 in a game, Skip, then it really gets in your head. Then it really starts to bother you. And then guys, they're yelling and talking to you, you better drop it, you're scared. That's why you drop it, you're scared, you ain't want to get hit. And then they throw him another cross, like, look, throw me a stop route. Throw me something out where I don't have to go in there. Just give me something easy, Skip. Maybe just give me a smoke where you just pop up, give me the ball. Just let me feel it. But, Skip, the concerning part is beating man coverage. Because once guys find out you can't beat man coverage, what do you think they're going to do? I'm sitting right in front of you. I'm not going anywhere.
I've just seen it happen so much in baseball, where all of a sudden Steve Sachs can't throw it to first base. Rick Keel can't throw it
to the backstop.
Anywhere but to the backstop. Steve Blass had that disease as a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And you go to golf, and David Duval and Ian Baker Finch, they just lost their driver swing. They just couldn't find the fairway anymore, and it's all in your head.
Skip, but I really thought they should have took Penei Sewell, the big tackle, out of Oregon. Because what got Joe Burrow missed games last year because they couldn't protect him.
I agree.
He got weapons.
This was the 5th overall pick. He better be able to beat the demons in his head right now, because they can come back and bite you and haunt you during the regular season.
I'm going to give him some time. I mean, some guys it takes a little longer, and some guys, Skip, just hit the ground running. You look at guys like receivers, Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb, and these guys, Julio and A.J. Green, they just hit the ground running. But, Skip, when you're the 5th pick in the draft now, there ain't a whole lot of receivers that get drafted that high. You're a difference maker. You're supposed to go to if you get drafted that high, you're supposed to be a Hall of Famer.
That's true. I agree.
Is probably feeling it a little bit.
Of course.
No mercy. While the Cowboys haven't won a preseason game yet, we have been able to get, some behind-the-scenes looks thanks to Hard Knocks. And episode 3 of the 5-part series airs tonight. So, Shannon, what do you want to see tonight? I know you already told me not a win.
You see the date on that? That's 8/24/21. So that's before Dak hurt his shoulder. So I know people like, look at Dak, he throwing good right now. That was a week before. Just some Dak information, Skip. Maybe they give us something.
Enlighten us.
Just a little bit. Because I don't believe anything that Jerry and Stephen Jones saying at this present time, that they're not worried, they're unconcerned about what could possibly happen, and Dak's going to be 100% come September 9th. I don't believe it.
I agree. I would like a little less of silly, goofy Zeke and a little more of deep Dak, because he is opening up for this HBO camera crew more than he ever has. And he's showing me more how his mind works. I have learned more about Dak over the 2 episodes than I knew in the first 5 years he was in the league. So I'm loving seeing inside Dak.
You're probably going to get some of this COVID, because remember, Skip, Dan Quinn missed the other night because of COVID situation.
Now
Joe
CD.
CD has it now. I heard they went virtual the last couple of days, and I think today they're going to start back. So obviously that won't be in there, but I think the Dan Quinn situation with the COVID, I do believe that'll be a part of it.
And I hope Mike McCarthy has a better night tonight, a more commanding, powerful night tonight, where he's in charge.
You get one more week of there. You get one more week of Mike McCarthy and those dry speeches. I need some water. He ain't supposed to water those speeches because they're real dry.
He's washed.
That's all for Undisputed. Skip Shannon. We'll be back same time tomorrow morning. The Herd is on now with Colin and Joy. Have a good day, guys.